transmission.
What is up, everybody? We are finally back.
The rumors of the GSL's demise were not true.
That's
we
right.
return again in 2025.
Immortal Zombie GSL lives on. What's up, everybody? It's been like, I think, literally 11 months.
Yeah, it's been basically a year since we have been in the GSL studio. It feels crazy.
That's wild. We had a long period where we didn't know the future of StarCraft 2, primarily with EWC. Is it going to be happening? It was the last game that was announced. Our tournament is for lack of better words, a filter tournament. Our tournament is like a pathway leading to those players that are going to go to the Esports World Cup. Obviously, we're here. Esports World Cup is happening for StarCraft 2, and so GSL is back on for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, man. It was a stressful time for me, not going to lie. Waiting for the EWC announcement. You know, I was an optimist. I was like, December, it's going to come.
Yeah, January, it's going to come.
Yeah, the new year,
February, maybe.
But we had a long time to wait.
This was the longest downtime ever for StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
There's been maybe 1 or 2 other times where the announcements were delayed for various reasons, but we're excited to be back. It's going to be a very quick season since the Esports World Cup is just around the corner here. It'll be in the summer as we're getting closer and closer to that. So we're going to be going through this entire season in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's actually going to be a crazy couple of months for StarCraft just in general because EWC, again, only a couple of months away. We have to run through 2 GSL seasons. There are international events that are also going to be happening. Of course,
right.
The GSL champion qualifies directly into the EWC. It's part of the road to EWC. So we're going from what felt like half a year, maybe a little bit more than half a year.
From basically a StarCraft 2 Dark Ages into
chaos.
Went to absolute warp speed, not just here but everywhere, as we're going to basically cram all of the possible qualifiers, I should say,
right.
For the EWC coming up here. $700,000 prize pool for the Esports World Cup. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. A lot of these players very hungry to get in here and qualify for that. So the competition is going to be fierce. If you want to come and visit our studio, we only have 5 days this season. So here are the days where the broadcasts are happening. You can see here on Friday in Korea time, the round of 8 finals and all of the round of 8 and the semifinals and the finals. All those tickets go on sale. You can get it by scanning the QR code. Usually day 1 and 2 are a little bit light as far as audiences go for GSL, but it fills up really quickly. Once the show starts in Korea, word gets around pretty fast. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I know some of you are traveling to Korea, whether it's overseas or you're somewhere else outside of Seoul trying to come into town. Get the ticket immediately. Yeah. It will sell out, and you will not be able to get into the studio if you can't get a ticket.
Yeah, it's only 138 seats that we have here in the studio. And
right.
For the semifinals and finals, that will always sell out. Friday, those tickets go on sale. The broadcast schedule, as you can see on there. This Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to go through the round of 12 classic GSL groups of 4 players, Group A and Group B. And then we're going to continue on next week on Wednesday with a round of 8. Group A, Group B, and then we're going to go back to the action-packed finals with both the semis and the finals on the same night. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to support the GSL, you can do so at patreon.com/GSL. See all these lovely perks you get on screen. For me, of course, that $10 a month GSL replay package, you got to love it, especially if you're playing the game and you want to learn.
Right.
I remember the dark ages of GSL for me back in like the early 2010s when I would watch players play like MC and I would try to figure out how they're doing their builds through the GSL VODs. And it's like,
not the most efficient way.
Yeah,
a lot of people watch streams. That's a good way in some sense to learn, but really replays are the best way if you're going to try to improve, if you're going to get the exact timings down. So yeah, consider supporting the GSL. We're in an ecosystem now where really the future of StarCraft 2 will be driven and will be decided by the community support. So here's our league format.
Round of 12, round of 8, these are the classic GSL groups that you know and love from previous seasons. Only difference this time around is that from the GSL qualifiers, we actually had an advanced stage, a winners and a losers bracket in the qualifiers after the first brackets. And so some players directly seeded into the round of 8. That's why it's a round of 12 and not a round of 16 to start things out. But besides that, I mean, in terms of the broadcast, it's basically going to be same old classic GSL.
Right. It's going to feel very familiar. We've reorganized this so that round of 12 kind of filters back up into the round of 8 and another group. So you're still going to have about 2/3 of the tournament as groups and the final third as a bracketed format. The finals are going to be nuts, by the way, because we have the semifinals on the same day. So it's going to be a long, awesome day of StarCraft 2. And the maps for this tournament are going to be very fresh.
Yeah, we have a lot of really fun, really interesting maps. I was playing a bunch of ladder getting ready for this GSL, and man, I was having a blast as we look at the matchups here. Group A, that is today, Cure, sOs, Reynor, and Solar. So we have a foreigner competing. Reynor is back here in GSL. He is in Korea. And sOs, the money man himself, he's been trying. I'm not sure how hard, but he has been playing in qualifiers for GSL for the past couple of years. I think almost... I mean, I don't want to just project my beliefs, but it felt like he wasn't really practicing full-time. But maybe the final prize purse of EWC, $700,000 this year, he is back. He's qualified for top 12 already.
Yeah.
I am stoked for this. You can also see Group A and Group B, round of 8, we have Classic, Gumiho, Beyond, and Hero already qualified. And then round of 12, Group B, another foreigner. Along with Maru, Rogue, and Nightmare, we have Trigger, who is living in Korea now, who was also qualified for his first GSL. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be very cool. So Reynor today, Trigger tomorrow as far as non-Korean players in the tournament. And today, you know, this is such a just unusual mixture of common faces in GSL like Cure and Solar. A blast from the past with sOs. I'm so excited that we're going to be starting today with his match versus Cure. And then we've got Reynor, who has consistently attempted to win a GSL and has failed so far. He is somebody we would have expected in the past, or I guess we should say we did expect in the past, to take one of these. Former world champion, easily one of the best players, not just in Europe, but really in the whole world. However, for whatever reason, GSL has been an obstacle he has not been able to overcome yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of that goes into players just really honing in on preparing for him in the first round of GSL because you know your groups before you head in. It is a preparation-style tournament, and we got a video ready for you guys.
We're going to hop to that video now, guys, and then we're going to go into our match.
팀 8코스 소속 저그 플레이어 강민수 솔라라고 합니다.
Also known as Reynor, 22 years old, from Italy.
프로토스 김유진입니다. 팀리퀴드 소속 큐어 김도욱입니다. 이번에 다시 이제 몸 관리도 하고 좀 걱정도 떨쳐내고 열심히 하려고 생각 중입니다. 뒤늦게 좀 질풍노도의 시기가 왔다고 해야 되나? RPG 게임을 좀 되게 열심히 했었거든요. 몇 달 동안 하다 보니까 와 이게 현타가 너무 오더라고요. 근데 이제 막상 이제 스타트 다시 하는데 5,000점대 레더 점수들한테 지는 걸 굉장히 싫어하는데 일명 5,000크스라고 와 하는데 못 이기겠더라고요 처음에. 다행히 이제 그 점수 때는 좀 이길 만한 실력대로 올라와서 이런 게임을 다시 하라고 추천해준 김준호 진짜 같이 공 한 번씩 차는데 진짜 그때 너무 꼴배기 싫었어요.
진짜 그냥 백수처럼 지내는데요. 심심하고 엄청 심심하고 공허하고 엄청 그랬던 것 같습니다.
So I just took some time off, spent some time with my family, played some other stuff, and yeah, just enjoyed my time. Now I'm back at it though.
프로토스는 지금 좀 심각할 정도로 밸런스가 많이 무너진 상태라서 빨리 패치를 해줬으면 좋겠습니다.
Practiced any Protoss, so I don't think I'll be playing any TOS, but we'll see, maybe. One map.
저는 저거 못 이기겠던데 아직. 테라는 그래도 가만히 있어도 할만해서.
러쉬 가기가 무서워요 이제. 또 러쉬를 안 가면 또 올멀티가 되거든요. 첫스전은 좀 뭔가가 바뀌어야 된다고 생각을 하거든요. 항상 게임하기 전에 져 있는 느낌? 그런 느낌이 드는 것 같습니다.
Oh, this is the oops.
와, 좀 잘못돼 있는 것 같은데 이거. 누가 짰죠? 비조에 비해서 너무 압도적으로 힘든 것 같고요. 그나마 유진이 형이 좀
I would say I would rather play Solar maybe. I think my ZVZ is quite good, and I'm actually struggling against Terran, so maybe Solar.
Go back to your country while you are here.
일단 조 파악 완료됐어요. 저그를 싫어하는데 도우기가 그나마 할만할 것 같은데 아무래도 연습 때 좀 이겨가지고 자신감 좀 차 있는 것 같은데 솔직히 제대로 안 했거든요. 네, 착각을 좀 깨쳐야겠네. 좀 오랜 시간 걱정도 많이 하고 기다린 만큼 좀 더 간절하게 열심히 해야겠다는 생각을 많이 했던 것 같아요. 이번에 좀 좋은 모습 많이 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 화이팅! 전 최선을 다할 거고 김준호 각오해라. GSL 화이팅!
이기고 지고를 떠나서 일단 너무 설레고요. 새로운 시즌을 시작하면 그냥 가서 게임만 해도 재밌을 것 같고 파이팅!
I don't know, I'll just do my best and see where I can go. So, yeah, cheer for me. Fighting!
All right, we are back. We're ready to hop into our game. I love the pacing of a GSL. We're just moving. We're going right into the matches. Down to business here. First match is going to be Cure versus SOS.
Yeah, I think Cure is by far the favorite in this matchup. I was actually surprised that SOS in his interview said that he can't beat Zerg, but maybe he's a little bit more competent against Terran. I feel like that's not really the case for a lot of players right now.
I've also found that like SOS interviews reflect nothing with what's going to happen in the game. He's, I mean, he's got kind of an unusual way of looking at everything. But I think you're right, State, that right now Cure looks like probably the strongest player in this group by a lot. He could possibly just win this entire GSL. He's been in phenomenal shape. Now, that being said, you know, we've had a lot of off time here for StarCraft 2 competitive in the way that we're used to it, right?
Yeah.
It's been nearly 10 months.
And that's going to factor in ways that I think we can't necessarily even expect here, because I think there's a big question about what form everybody is going to be in competing in GSL today, especially the start of the tournament, these first initial groups, because Kira, again, he's the guy who was getting basically top 4, and it felt like every single GSL for a very long time. It was him and Maru, #1 and #2 Terrans in Korea for what felt like forever, but, you know, with kind of the off-season and the ambiguity of what scale StarCraft 2 would have here in 2025, people were saying in the interviews that, you know, Reynor, he was playing other games. I know he was streaming some League of Legends. Solar was talking about how he felt kind of directionless a little bit, probably wasn't practicing quite as much.
I think everybody felt like that who was a fan of StarCraft, myself included. You know,
me too.
It's like, okay, so what's next? Is this worth the investment in time? And you see some guys were playing RPGs or trying, you know,
It's
MOBAs.
really funny. I like SOS saying he's playing RPGs. He's like, wait, what is the point of this?
Yeah.
What a waste
I
of
thought
time.
that the first time I saw him, but no, I've never been a big MMO guy myself. I'm assuming that's what he meant. Maybe he's playing single-player RPGs. There's a lot of different RPGs you can play nowadays, but yeah, cool to see that he's back here. Hopefully they get this issue, whatever it is, resolved so we can hop into this game. I imagine this will be a 2-0 with Cure winning. If it's not, that's awesome. That's a crazy upset. And that would be a real testament to, you know, SOS as a player, and that he would even be able to beat someone like Cure, who's been so solid. Cure's just steadily gone up over time.
Yeah.
Every year he's a better version of himself. I guess many of the players have improved. They built a new layer of skill on top of the old one. But, I mean, if SOS took this, it would be wild.
It would be insane, but, you know, in some ways, having such a long offseason between 2024 and 2025 kind of plays in SOS's favor, because if he's starting to practice at the same time as basically everybody else was when the EWC News got announcement and GSL got renewed for Season 1 and Season 2 this year, then suddenly everybody has rust to shake off, not just SOS, who hasn't really competed in StarCraft 2, at least in a major tournament like this one, in years, right? So I could see some upsets coming in from SOS. I don't know if it's going to be against Cure, though. This guy has absolutely killer TVP, and he has been having killer TVP for, like, as far back as I can remember. He's just one of the scariest Terrans. It always feels like he has more than everyone else.
Yeah, he has got a very good grasp on the matchup. You know, the thing about SOS, though, is when he's playing well, it's very hard to prepare for. He has had more one-off crazy strats than anybody we've ever seen. I would imagine if we're going to see him bring anything today, it might be some weird stuff that no one is ever going to have ever thought of. Yeah, you know, there's a way to play StarCraft where you might be able to do something one time, and if they, you know, it'll never work on them again because it's like learning how a magic trick works, right? Like they know how the coin disappears, but maybe I'll have something like that planned for us here.
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, I feel like it's SOS.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the things about SOS, though, going back to, you know, those magic tricks and them getting revealed and then hard to replicate, is that SOS back in the day when he was a world champion caliber player, was winning these $100,000 tournaments, he just had so many tricks that he would do these things like, yeah, you're going to do that once. Are you going to be able to do it again? But he would just have trick after trick after trick, game after game after game. He was such an anomaly of a Protoss player, one of the most distinctive Protoss styles we've ever seen in StarCraft 2.
I feel like I'm looking at our map lineup right now, and this is like the final boss of a spelling bee here. Like,
yeah, Persephone. Tuckamuck.
Can you use it in a sentence? Can you give me a definition of Persephone?
Yeah. I do love this new map pool, by the way. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to shake things up a lot here in the new season of GSL as our game is getting loaded up. Pure versus SOS going to be kicking off GSL in 2025 here in Group A. I cannot wait to get this started. I cannot wait to see what SOS is going to bring to the table. Oh, man. It's going to be a fun day of StarCraft.
Yeah, it's going to be sick, man. Our first map, Persephone, is loading up very slowly. Let's see if this thing actually, we might have to restart here.
I started that intro expecting the loading screen to go a little bit more quickly, but
I think SOS's computer crashed.
Yeah, I think it might have.
Headset came off.
Oh, got a telltale sign.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in a sec here. The stage manager's going to come over there and see what the issue is, but I bet this is going to require a restart. Maybe blue screen of death.
Yeah, hopefully not. If it's a blue screen, I feel like usually it takes a little bit of time to fix things out. Occasionally we have those situations where a computer, they kind of write it off. They're like, all right, let's just pull another one out from the back shelf.
Actually, that's how they run it here. Is there's basically a handful of backup PCs with the game installed and updated. So if something doesn't work, they just unplug it and they run the next PC out and plug it back in.
Yeah, we basically have like a crew from an F1 race.
Yeah,
We're
that's
just
right.
changing out the tires on all these PCs, man.
They change out the wheels on the computer chair. And
oh, man, I'm antsy to get started.
I'm excited to hop into this. We'll see what the issue is. It looks like they're going to reload the map.
Oh, yeah, I guess that means...
So it looks like his game might have crashed, not his PC. So they're going to get him loaded in there. Such a treat to have SOS come back.
I'm so excited. Whenever I saw him playing in the GSL qualifiers, I believe it was last year and maybe even the year before that, I was always just, you know, fingers crossed, hoping that he would make it, because SOS back in the day, one of my favorite players to watch ever, just because you never knew what he was going to do. He was capable of macro play, but usually he wouldn't go for it. He would go for proxy dark shrines, proxy 2 gates. He would go for the most zany all-ins you had ever seen. He just made it work. It was magical.
Yeah, okay, guys, we're ready to go into game 1. Cure versus SOS finally starting now. Finally, GSL is back. Okay, Cure down here in the bottom left, and SOS in the top left. This is a map where you both spawn on the left side. There are speed boosters on the far right. By the way, just while we have a little bit of downtime before the games actually pick up, I'm really excited by the maps we're using here. I think that StarCraft 2, you know, looking back on the 15 years of history that this game had, I think it's a little, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But I do think it's worth pointing out that was not as much courage in map making. That's not a knock on map makers, but I think the maps they selected for tournaments, they could have been more risk-taking and a little bit crazier. And I feel like we've got that now. And I know it's always a balancing act between maps that pros are comfortable on and then maps that create new play and new games but might be harder to learn on. But I'm glad we're going more in this direction. And by the way, I get it. Like, if I ladder, I don't want to be on the weird maps. Okay, if I'm in a tournament
Yeah.
for money, I don't want to be on those maps because I want to play on the maps I've played on a million times before. But I think having a good balance of that is really important. By the way, it's so cool to see you guys back in the studio, all of you. Remember, if you're going to be coming tomorrow or next week, we have 3 days in a row next week, you need to get a ticket immediately. The audience is a little bit light here today because I think the news is pretty, there's basically been no news for StarCraft for a while for StarCraft
Right.
2. And then GSL finally came back, and I think a lot of people might not have been plugged in to the StarCraft news cycle, but once this show starts, the studio tends to fill up pretty fast. So anyways, the point I'm trying to get to is make sure that you get a ticket ASAP, whether you're in Korea or just visiting. You don't want to miss out.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I think all of the tickets for next week go on sale this Friday, Korean time. So
Yes.
try and get those as soon as possible, especially for the finals. If you can attend, if you want to attend, make sure you do it because those tickets will sell out and they will sell out very quickly.
So, for now, we've got just normal teching for the time being. By the way, we're in a new iteration, a new patch of the game.
Yeah.
And without that many games having happened, I'm, I guess on like a kind of GSL, EWC circuit tour level, I'm super interested in exactly what strategies and plans are going to be used and how people are going to adapt, not just to the new maps, but the new patches as well.
Yeah, and all the map features that are being added too, like the Zerg rocks that slowly decay over time, all the extended use of acceleration zones and stuff like that. It's really fun. SOS, he's throwing down a second gateway back at home and proxying a pylon down here. Man, this looks like the ladder games that I played last night, just using the acceleration zones on the right side to boost a probe down here and do a proxy. Oh, I love this so much here for SOS. I was wondering exactly what his game plan was because he didn't go for the early sentry that we're seeing a lot with Protoss players because you do now have that energy charge ability on the Nexus to get a hallucinated scout immediately. Instead, he's just going to go classic SOS style, very aggressive, very in-your-face with his proxy pylon, 3 gateways. I wonder how much pressure this is going to be on the front line.
Okay, so as this medevac is inbound towards SOS's base, SOS has already warped in Adepts down here at the bottom, or sorry, Stalkers down here at the bottom. So this is going to be kind of crazy. Who's got less defense back at home? The Reaper's locked out. Oh my God, but he hops over. That was nasty.
Yeah, still no bunker here in the natural expansion for Kira, though. The probe's going to get up, scout the Cyclone and the 2 Marines popping there in the main base, but the damage is being dealt here in the main of SOS. Adept's going to focus down the Marines. They're able to get a couple of them. And the pressure is mounting right now. This, so far, is going better for SOS. 7 SCVs have fallen. The drop is getting thwarted again in the natural expansion. That medevac now down to only 99 HP as Kira desperately needs to start chipping away at this probe line, find some balance in damage. Does get a couple more probes there to equalize things a little bit. And I feel like Kira's going to be stable. It was looking scary there for a moment. Oh, SOS is actually going for this Cyclone. No repair.
Dude, this is insane. SOS is looking so strong. I guess we don't have death animation on that Stalker, so it just disappeared like the guy in Looper. So the drops are going to continue. Right now, Kira's hurting. He's way lower on workers, but he's getting some work done over here. With the siege tank finished, I think this attack's going to be done. The Banshee's going to comb this area of the map, identify where the pylon is. And I think the game might quiet down, at least for a little bit, but there's a warp prism being made, and I think this might, we sort of ended with the attack from the Stalkers and the push and the denied drop for Terran, but I think it's going to pick back up, being reminiscent of kind of a 3-gate or 4-gate Stalker warp prism harass.
Yeah, but I think SOS is realizing the situation he's in. He doesn't really have the momentum to do it. The Warp Prism would be too slow, so he canceled it. Instead, he starts an Observer, he starts an Immortal, and he's going for Twilight Council instead. This is SOS saying, all right, that Warp Prism tech not going to work. Instead, we're going to try and focus on just building up for the mid-game and potentially absorb the impact of the push that Kira is almost inevitably going to do. Siege tank production is continuing. Banshees with their high DPS often paired up with these siege tank pushes on 2 bases as more barracks get thrown down. And SOS is being very smart in bracing for impact, and it's actually not even going to be Blink, it's going to be Charge. I like that decision here going into the siege tank tech.
Yeah, this is smart. This is a great way to clobber a big counter push coming up here. So the Banshee right now is just traveling through the speed boosters. Stalkers, I believe, are basically positioned in a way where I don't think this Banshee's going to get a whole lot done. Still 2 base versus 2 base. The first Banshee's going to come up here into the main. The second's going to come to the right side.
Yeah, only one Stalker there, so not able to really do too much damage to that Banshee. Kira does delay the third Nexus for SOS by at least a couple seconds, though, so it is nice for him. And also, Templar Archives coming down really quickly.
Nice. He's going to just snipe the Observer with that little auto turret thrown down there. Warp Prism's out. And I think SOS might just play a more passive game. He's basically deflected all the attacks, the little assaults from the Banshees. No, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's actually going to move out across the map with the Warp Prism. I guess whenever you have a Warp Prism in the game, it's never a bad idea to try to get value out of it by moving out.
He's going Storm. I love this for SOS.
Yeah.
I was wondering if he was just going to go straight into Archon Charge Zell to try and stop that Siege Tank push that is likely going to come, although, you know, Kira now throwing down the third command center, maybe he is also deciding to kind of play more of a longer, protracted game. But no, it's going to be Storm, and with the energy charge ability that we have on the Nexus now, Storm, it's almost like we have Kadarian Amulet back a little bit.
Yeah.
It is really fun. It is really powerful, and so I love this tech choice coming in here for SOS.
Now, we've had these moments where sometimes StarCraft 2 influences StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 1 influences StarCraft 2, but Storm drops in the last couple of years really picked up in StarCraft 1. Whether it was just in mineral lines or just to blanket a push that's coming in there so that they can't be stopped. But I think we're going to be having a little bit of that here now. SOS, by the way, pretty active at StarCraft 1 as of late. So he's going to come in here for a little bit of a drop, drives the SCVs back. Is there anything he has to stop this?
Are they going to clump? Does he know there's Templar in them? I think he has a good idea. Oh, a bit of a whiff right there. He is going to get, what, 4 SCVs? Maybe? No, not even.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great, honestly. The Vikings going to come back there and try to pin it.
That's a painful loss for SOS. Those are also the very first Templar that he got, too, so that's a lot of energy down the drain.
Yeah, I thought for a little bit he was just going to put 4 Templars in there and be ready for some kind of a push and try to storm that way. I didn't think it was going to be a storm drop. Because I think that's a little bit hard to push to pull off if they know it's coming.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of play that you need to be causing a problem on some other side of the map.
You need a distraction.
This army here for Kira is going to look really scary, by the way. Only 3 Templar right now on the field for SOS. Although I am curious about the medevac count here for Kira. I know he made a lot of Banshees. Couple Vikings. Is it really just these 2 medevacs? Yeah, it is. These Storms, if they connect, can do a lot of damage that will not get healed up. And actually, SOS, he's going to commit to this attack. I was not expecting that. Moves in, snipes the Siege Tank, uses 1 Storm to push away the army, and then retreats. And that stim, very expensive here for Kira. Keep in mind, he has a low number of medevacs right now, so the healing, there's not a lot of it on the board right now for Terran. SOS setting up a counterattack with a second Warp Prism, as Kira chips away at this wall in here in the main base. That army right now for Terran, a lot more squishy than it was a moment ago, but this is still a very tough position for SOS to try and break if Kira continues to kind of entrench himself and push towards that natural expansion.
2 Zealots are going to come in here for a small counterattack. I don't think it's going to do that much with Marauders ready to defend. Is he going to actually pick up and drop into the main? Yes, he is. He's going to elevator in there and start to damage the infrastructure. So it's an uncomfortable spot. Nice Storm down there. Takes out a decent amount of the infantry.
With a cannon and a battery, too. I love that positioning from SOS. That was like a classic like parting kind of defense right there. It was just like 1 Templar, 1 cannon, 1 shield battery deflecting that drop. Oh, I love that. It's moments like that that make me really excited to watch SOS play today, because coming into today, I didn't really know what his form was going to be, but he's actually looking really solid right now, going up against one of the best TV players in the world.
Yeah, he looks great right now. I do like the slow drip of Zealots just running into the main and causing a distraction. Kira's abandoned his position, and I think it makes sense. He realized he's not going to be able to get anything done. You know, the Templars can just refill and continuously spray out Psy Storms to the point where it kind of doesn't make sense to engage. The 4th base is done for SOS. He's a little bit behind in supply, but not so much that I would be worried. He is developing a pretty sophisticated army. I see a second. Was that a second Cybernetics core? Or is he
the
remaking
first one
it?
got sniped.
Okay. Thought for a second this is some kind of nod to like air fleet. And so Cure's going to move out again. Now he can move through the speed boosters pretty fast to get a shockingly quick setup outside of this fort. This is crazy looking.
When they're stimmed, they're actually so quick. All right, that Templar warping in. Let's see if he does have he charged that up with the energy here on the Nexus. It's still low, so no storms available right now. This is a tough angle for SOS to come in to attack. Instead, he's going to go through it. What am I not getting the best connections? Templar in the back. They're trying to find the storms. Right one is very good right there. Catches a lot of bio. Oh, the second one. Oh, these storms are so solid, but still, the army for Cure, the positioning is just fantastic, and the Protoss army is getting whittled away.
I think that SOS can't quite make this work.
Yeah.
He's basically lost everything. That entire army he built up into was shut down. He's got, what, 3 Stalkers and a Colossus and a Depth 2 Zealots. It's not going to be enough. And Terran can easily rebuild what was already lost. We've got a final attack in here to try to shut this down. Maybe he can make it happen. The Nexus is at half health with no shields.
That's a max energy Templar, able to drop off 2 storms. He does clean up the siege tank, but I mean, the reinforcements coming in from SOS, I don't think it's going to be enough.
He's going to dive in there. GG, Cure takes that first game. But I got to tell you, man, that was a fun TVP. That was really interesting at the start. I think SOS did a good job holding on. And frankly, that was kind of an exceptional harnessing of the structure of the map from Cure in the end. I think had those speed boosters not have been there, he would not have been able to get up there as quickly.
I feel like given the situation that SOS was in, he controlled that fight really well, but you're trying to basically attack down this narrow ramp with your Nexus and other structures, almost walling off sections of your army into siege tanks, into stim bio, close to acceleration zones. That is a tough angle to defend that 4th base right there in the top right on that map. And so for SOS, all of those storms looked really good. His army just couldn't connect. You're able to take that brilliant fight to win map 1 on Persephone. He's up 1-0 now as we get ready to go to Takama. This is the kind of thing where, like, I read these when I'm playing the game. I don't say them out loud.
Yeah,
and now
I had the same thing.
No idea how to pronounce.
I think it's Takamak.
I think so. I know I just look a fool trying to say these things.
All right, guys, game 2, let's go. Cure in the top right, SOS in the bottom left. On yet another new map. Again, I think SOS played really well that last game.
Yeah, he was solid. He was even keeping up on upgrades there against Cure for a long time. Got the 4th base up very quickly. I feel like if he had vision of the acceleration zone a little bit sooner than he did when Cure was coming in, if he was able to get into a good position on the 4th base, that game could easily have continued, but Cure just with some really brilliant maneuvering, they're able to take down that base and ultimately the game. But up until that point, SOS, he looked solid. I think the only real error I would say in his play up to that point was the Storm Drop just didn't really get anything done. He killed a couple of mules, lost his first 2 Templar and a Warp Prism. But besides that, he was so solid. He did not look like he was that out of shape at all, which means that SOS has been grinding hard in preparation for this GSL.
Okay, the probe's going to come in here right away. And let's see what exactly SOS wants to do. I mean, I think it was a very SOS move to do the little proxy pylon and try to do some harass. Cure's done a lot of just 1 base drops, or sorry, 2 base drops. You know, Terran's always had like the drop variety pack. In the early game, you never know what the combination's going to be, but there's different techniques and tactics you can use with all of them. But for now, this game looks identical in a lot of ways to the previous game, although the features of the map are very different.
Yeah, Cure going for a one guess expand as opposed to a 2 guess expand, though. So probably not going to be the same insanely high pressure attack coming in from Cure that SOS dealt with last time with, you know, the Cyclone drop and the Medevac and the Marines. I mean, that was a real skirmish that happened very early on in the previous map. I think this one's going to build up a bit more slowly, and I'm curious what SOS is going to do again. And actually, it is looking very similar to map number 1.
This is the Groundhog's Day series. We got to cast this perfectly to break the cycle. Yeah, let's see if Cure goes for a drop coming up here or not.
Although there are some differences here for SOS. The second gate hasn't been thrown down. It's actually going to be a proxy Robo, and this is not something I expected. It's not the 3-gate pressure. It's proxy tech.
Is it Immortal?
I guess so.
SOS is back. Immortal, and what is that, a gateway?
Yeah, gateway for the
gateway.
warp in.
Okay. So
Very cool.
he's going to go for a bust here. Double Hellion. Soon to be, you know, I believe there should be 2 more right after this.
Yeah, I would be surprised if there weren't 4 Hellions coming onto the field.
No,
it's going to be
Widow Mines. Never mind.
Huh. All right. I am surprised, I guess. Interesting setup here. I feel like I haven't seen a proxy Robo Immortal push like this in a very long time. Another gateway getting thrown down by SOS in the main base. So it'll be 3-gate with a proxy Robo, Immortal already in production, Warp Gate just about to finish. And Kira is dedicating a lot of production time. Like, he's getting a tech lab right now on his barracks. He's putting in production time on a reactor factory into Widow Mines, which are definitely going to be sent in a drop cross map. He's not going to have a lot of units on the ground to actually deal with this attack that is coming. There isn't even a bunker here in the natural expansion. It is just 2 Marines tasteless.
So, similar to the last game, I mean, there's just, you know, oh my god, he's going to throw a pylon right down. So he's going to be warping in right over here. He can easily gun down the depot before it can be healed.
Yeah.
Stalker's in kind of an awkward spot. Doesn't really matter. Pick one, take it out.
He might just go to supply block here right now. He's already supply blocked. Another depot's going to go down.
Oh,
Banshee
that's
and
crazy.
Cyclone in production. The Hellions in the main base are getting cleaned up by the Stalkers. Pro splits coming in from SOS just out of range of these Widow Mines, so they are not getting the connections that they would like. And this is an insane attack from SOS. I mean, that Immortal, as soon as it popped, just immediately coming cross snap. All right, Widow Mines, there's 2 more in the bank. Oh, he's going to get both Stalkers. Nice damage being done, but there isn't too much to deal with this. Now, here he is going for the SCV surround.
Well, the Cyclone could just kite, like, infinitely.
Wow. Those SCVs really earning their payday right now with the body blocks.
The Banshee is going to be enough that he can just drive this back. I don't know what's back at home right now for SOS. I think the strategy is so cool, but I think, you know, the Kira's ability to kind of just manage everything might be slightly better.
Yeah.
It's been 10 SCV kills to 5 probe kills, so Terran is still hurting. But the rush has basically been shut down.
Yeah, and a lot of it goes back to that Widow Mine drop there in the main base. SOS losing both of those Stalkers means that he needed to do his next round of Stalker reinforcements at home, and that he doesn't have Stalkers on the front line to help support the Immortal pushing into the main base and deal with the Banshee and deal with the Cyclone. And so SOS losing a little bit of momentum here, but he's continuing to build up. Adept's going to go into the main base. There are not that many injured SCVs, so SOS just going to anchor his position here right outside the natural expansion. Might use those 2 Zealots to absorb the impact of those siege tank shots and then push in. Is he going to go? He is. Adept's coming in, going to focus fire down the SCVs and the Marines. Immortal tagged onto the siege tank. It will fall. The Banshee does fall. The Viking gets taken out, and Kira is bleeding more SCVs.
Another big warp in comes in over here. A siege tank on the high ground, but the Stalkers and Immortal are going to shimmy over to the side, and they can target the command center here. This needs to lift off. I think even if it lifts off, it might not get away. The tank unsieges. Kira's going to push down a little bit further. He needs to repair this.
Oh, it's solo on HP. You got to lift that one up. The Immortal's going to take it down. Command center falls. And SOS pulling the rabbit out of the hat somehow was able to salvage the situation after the initial bust. Doesn't get quite as much done as I think he was hoping for. The follow-up push kills the command center, resets the army there for Kira. I mean, this is vintage SOS we're watching right now. Just beautiful play.
I mean, this has been wiped beautifully. I don't know that Kira can recover.
I mean, he's on 1 command center.
He's on 1 CC.
He's got 4 Marines right now, tasteless.
Dude, SOS is always going to be SOS. Big warping over here, juggling the Immortal. The tank is going to pop out and die immediately. The Immortals just turn their fire onto it.
It's like, what, 4 shots?
Yeah, 4 shots, exactly. I can't believe it. We're going to go to game 3 here. SOS going to be taking this one in just an incredible fashion.
And I've got a big smile on my face right now. I mean, I love Cure. I want to see him go deep in this. GSL, but the fact that SOS is playing this well here against one of the best PvP players in the world is just so exciting.
It's crazy, man.
I think
It's
so
so
many
cool to
people saw Group A and kind of wrote SOS off as the underdog just because he's been so out of practice for so long. But look at him right now against one of the best TV players in the world.
Well, you know, the thing is that, you know, people have all gotten so much better since he left. He's been gone for a long time. So, you know, on one level, it's like SOS, one of the greatest RTS game players of all time. How could we ever have doubted him? But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, but everybody's been grinding so hard. But he's coming in here with his own flavor, his own approach. It looks great. Terran on 1 base right now. SOS just growing into 3. And I think this should be probably the beginning of the end here. I think there's just literally no way that you're going to get anything done. That's it. GG.
Yeah, Kira gonna fight all the way to the bitter end right there. Finally taps out when he spots the third base and the defense there in the main. And we've had some really interesting early games between these two guys. SOS in game number 1 going for the proxy gateway pressure against the Cyclone Marine drop. Game number 2 going for a really fast proxy robo. I was even wondering if he was going to wait until he gets like an Immortal and a Prism or something before pushing out, but it was like 2 gateway units and Immortal immediately busting down the natural expansion. He smelled the blood in the water.
That was so sick.
Wow.
I mean, who knows, man? SOS could take game 3, and we would already have a crazy upset. You can see Cure's a little bit in shock. We never really see Cure lose to rushes like that, especially getting the snipe with the command center. That was wild.
Yeah, this is...
But then again, how often are you dealing with a an Immortal train coming at your base just right outside your natural?
And so quickly, too.
Yeah, let's see if we can say this map name.
Maganatha.
Maganatha.
Between Maganatha and Takamak, it's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, next season, the map names are going to be in the English language. Guys, game 3's ready. Let's go. Okay, Cure in the bottom right, SOS in the top left. Will we have an expand into drop opening again? Will we have proxy pylon again? If I'm Cure, I am trying to sniff out any proxy strategies.
Oh, for sure.
But, you know, it's funny, I'm talking about this and I'm like, well, he did this in this game. Maybe he'll do this in the next game. SOS is probably one of the best build order layout. How do I, there should be like a word for this. He has the best way to integrate build orders into a series.
Yeah, his planning is very good.
Like he'll have build orders that'll set you up for a loss in the third game, even if his build order 1 works or doesn't work.
And this is a guy that also in situations with like $100,000 on the line is not afraid to proxy 2-gate you potentially multiple times in a series, right? I mean, he doesn't really play by the same rules as basically everybody else. Oftentimes we'll see players like, especially Maru is one of those guys that just has a build for every opponent on every map. You'll see him do the same thing sometimes, but he is just this Swiss Army knife of strategies. But you'll see him play like a best-of-7 situation, right? Oh, welcome.
We're so happy to be back.
Oh, all the way from Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, welcome. Great city.
But Maru, you see him in a best-of-7, and you might expect 7 different builds from Maru. SOS is one of these guys where for sure he's going to have 7 builds in a best-of-7, but he might go back to one of them like 3 times in a series. Whereas a lot of players add in a lot of variety. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw SOS again go for some kind of proxy pressure, whether it be a robo, whether it be 3 gateway again, even though Cure might expect it. I mean, he's just got so much confidence in his gameplay. It's really a treat to watch.
So, command center, third command center, actually.
Wait, is this?
Wait, did I see that
3CC?
correctly?
No, I think that's
no,
the factory.
I'm crazy. I'm sorry. They had the command center selected, but I saw the factory, and I'm like, whoa, that's wild.
Sorry, we had a long break, Tasteless.
Yeah.
we're also
it's been
getting
a long
back
time.
into this.
It's good to be back since casting the Esports World Cup Finals. I'm finally here again, StarCraft 2. So this time around, we don't have a proxy pylon yet, but it seems like it's going to be triple gate, possibly into Robo.
Yeah, we do have I believe, a pro patrolling all the way in the bottom left.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
So
on
maybe
these
he'll throw a
monitors,
pylon
it's hard
there.
to see. But
Yeah, we got tiny monitors here at the studio. And so it's going to be the factory and the starport. No add-on yet. The probe stops. It was on patrol. Will he throw a pylon down in a second?
I feel like he's got to. Oh, there's
Oh my
Twilight
God.
Council. He threw that down after he saw the Reaper coming in, so I don't know if this is going to be a feign. I imagine it probably won't be. But I am curious what the plan is going to be here for this pylon. Oh, there actually isn't a pylon. Is he doing a delayed scout? Is he going to the third base?
He might want to. Oh, he's just going to throw it down now. Okay.
I'm actually surprised he's building it so close, considering I would be expecting Cure to be on point in terms
Well,
of scouting for these,
especially
right?
after seeing a Twilight Council, right? Like, you kind of look at that and go, all right, well, probably Blink Stalker. That's super common still to this day in the matchup.
I wonder if we're going to have 3 more Adepts warped in here from SOS. Yep, there they are. This is one of the things that he loved to do a long time ago, was he would get like 6, 7, maybe even 8 Adepts and just shade into the natural expansion, trade them out while going into Blink.
Yeah, it's a smart move. So that's going to be exactly what happens. The number is going to be 5 this time. So he's going to go past the bunker, come in, and just start taking fights. The Depths are quite good against Marines.
Yeah, good micro there, docking the Widow Mine right under the command center, going to be focusing down these Marines. And he's going to trade about evenly here. Didn't really get the worker damage that I think he wanted. Also, those shots being staggered a little bit means he didn't one-shot one of those Marines. That's a little bit painful. I feel like SOS would have liked this to have gone a little bit better for him. And one of these things that oftentimes you want to do with adept pushes like that one is at least trade a bit more effectively with a Marine count, because one of the scariest things for Protoss dealing with Terran and TVP in the mid-game is just the initial swell of bio with the first couple of medevacs. And so anytime you can trade evenly before Stim is out, before Combat Shield is out, you feel a lot safer there as Protoss. But 5 Adepts for just a handful of Marines, it's looking better for Cure right now.
Yeah, Cure, I think, has handled this pretty well, but there's no reason why SOS couldn't, get ahead or get in a good spot later on. The Adept attack was definitely not great. And you were mentioning this earlier, due to the fact that the shots were a little bit staggered. You really need them to all kind of fire in unison. So for now, it's going to be a little bit slow, it seems like. Terran's not going to be jumping to the third base just yet. He is sending a small medevac drop around the map. There is I believe it's a spotter pylon up here to see this.
Yeah.
He's actually going to send the Adepts in to kind of see, does it look a little bit defense light? And if it is, he can blink right on top of the tank. So he can come in here and just kill the tank, and I think he should be able to get the bunker as well, depending on how fast the repair is. It's not fast enough.
Yeah, that bunker not going to be taken down. As a medevac now coming into SOS's main base. Oh, he does spot it. All right, those stalkers going to be coming in right now, trying to shoo this away. It's a bit of a tough dance because those Marines do have more firepower even with the blink. Probes falling. SOS continuing to posture in front of the natural expansion of Cure during all of this.
It's funny, 3 is exactly not enough to kill that Marine efficiently. So, especially if the Terran tries to juggle with the medevac. So, on both sides, attacks that weren't too consequential, although I think, SOS lost a decent number of stalkers in that initial attack. He's going to try to trap this, and he can catch it on the other side. And I don't know on this map specifically if you can just thread that needle and move the medevac in between the stalkers on either side, but that medevac may be stuck there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think it probably will be, at least until SOS brings everything back to the front. But for SOS, although he didn't get too much damage done in the natural expansion there of Cure, anytime you can just chip away at the siege tank count, it feels really good there as Protoss. He lost like a handful of stalkers. He traded out Adepts, which realistically in this stage of the game, Adepts are basically dead weight in your army, right? So another base coming in here for SOS. I'm liking this, man.
Yeah, well, he's just going to go for growth. Little auto turret down there to kill a couple of probes. But Cure's going to come with a push. I don't know if he pulls SCVs with this or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Does he have a third command center in his main base? I feel like there's got to be one in production, right?
Well, if not, he's got to win with this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there really are only 2 ways to play the game. Either you expand or you try to close the game out with the timing. We don't see SCVs pulled, so I was wrong about that. And you were right, State. There is a third CC. I don't know if they highlighted it earlier, but he's taking the third base, kind of the triangle expansion over there.
Really good scan here from Cure.
Yeah.
Not getting caught out of position. This Protoss army, if it's able to catch the Terran unsieged, both the Widow Mines and the Siege
Oh
tank
my
unsieged-
God.
Are you going in for this, SOS? Oh, all right. Even SOS isn't crazy enough to take that fight. My heart sunk into my stomach for a second
scary.
there. And now Cure pivoting all the way up to the 12 o'clock base. SOS is going to try and get the surround on this one. Oh, Nexus does not get canceled. Now SOS going for the 360 surround, able to get that siege tank. Widowmine shot's not spectacular. That force field going to prevent these Marines and Marauders from kiting away, but there isn't much of a meat shield left for the Protoss army. It's just Stalkers against Stim Marines and Marauders, and Cure with a very favorable trade there outside the fourth base. That is not the fight that SOS wanted. Almost an anti-timing even, with +1 ground weapons finishing just afterwards.
Yeah. The push is going to continue, though. He's reinforcing this with a small drop. SOS looking so far so good. He has to make sure when that tug-of-war happens in the PvT fight, he doesn't end up with too many of his units shaved off.
I feel like he just bled out too many Zealots in that last fight.
Yeah.
He didn't get the surface area that he needed on the bio. Instead, they all clumped up there on the siege tank. And now Kier stimming in once more. With this army here for SOS, he is so kiteable. You can see Kier just abusing that right now as these Zealots coming in. They get filtered. The Widow Mines clean them up. And once more, SOS has basically no stopping power for this bio. It's almost pure Stalker with 1 Immortal, 1 Sentry. And Kieran, if he keeps up this pressure, I do not see a way that SOS is going to be able to stabilize, barring some miracle. We do now have 1 Colossus out, but Thermal Lance still, what, half a minute away? This is a very dangerous time in the game for SOS.
Yeah, he's going to unload. He's going to come in here for another swipe. This time at 12 o'clock again. A stim and a split, actually. He wants to try to come in and really make the Colossus not as powerful by having so many different angles here. He dives, and the Colossus is very deftly microed back. I do worry that there might just be a little bit too much here for Cure. He targets the Immortal, micros back for the Colossus shot again, begins to kite once more.
There's barely enough Zealots warping in here for SOS to hold on, but one of the very scary things about these engagements, Tasteless, is that SOS, he's starting to do a little bit of tit for tat on the ground. He's been trading a little bit better, but the medevac count has been basically untouched this entire time.
Right.
He's never been able to snipe them with the medevacs because he's never had a good enough trade, and so this Terran army has so many stims in the banks, and there's going to be so much healing that I don't know if SOS is really going to have the damage that he needs, even with these 2 Colossi and a head-on engagement with Cure.
So, auto turret's going to come down here, making things just a little bit worse. The supply really does tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Even though we're seeing SOS survive a lot of these attacks, his army is very, very light. Where everything that Cure has here is just bigger and not going down at all. And you pointed this out as well, State, especially the medevac count. The medevac count is getting to the point where every single unit in the army has its own personal healer.
Yeah, I mean, the air game in TVP is so pivotal in this matchup. As Protoss, if you're sniping medevacs and Terran stimming actually means damage, you're in a good position. But in a situation like this one, I mean, that is so many medevacs assisting this army. And we don't have anything like Storm or Disruptors here for SOS. It's all units that are slowly going to do damage, like the Zealots, like the Stalkers, like the Colossi. And then when you get into a maxed engagement against a Cure who is now moving across the map, and that damage is distributed across a huge arc, I'm not sure we're going to see much Terran die at all unless SOS is able to somehow catch him out of position.
You know, Cure, there's really no pressure on his side of the map. SOS is continuing to, grow out here. He's got a base over here in the far top right. The small number of Zealots, I think the idea is good, but you can see defense-wise, like, there's no place that Cure isn't completely ready to shut this down, especially in small numbers. And as we hit the max out point for Terran, that's usually where there will be a fight.
I'm stressed for SOS with no additional splash damage, just these 4 Colossi. Vikings gonna sack themselves to get one of them taken out at the start. Kieran now kiting back through this choke point. Actually a pretty good engagement there for SOS, able to chip away at the bio ball quite well, only losing 1 Colossus. That's the kind of fight that he needs.
Another scan here, a big drop now into the main. And we have no engagement in the middle of the map. I love the fact he's going to go for this robo. This is so smart. Just gun this down. Nothing's going to be able to stop that in time. Going for the forge immediately after that. That will fall as well.
Cluster ground weapons did complete though for SOS as Kier once again trying to find an angle here in the top right. Oh, the acceleration zone! Gonna boost these Zealots onto that bio. A great engagement here for SOS. The force field also stopping the retreat. The Colossi stay alive.
It was insane how fast the Zealots connected there.
Yeah, but still, Kier just has so much.
It looks like the Zealots almost blinked into them.
Right.
Like, it was so funny. Yeah, you know, the problem is that it seems like Kier just still has more. The engine he's got back at home that is cranking out so many units is looking so fearsome. It's so strong.
But SOS is doing a remarkable job of just staying alive with the tools that he's got. Plus 3 ground weapons does help a lot for these Colossi, but really it's a macro game here for SOS that is carrying him through this. Kier still only on 4 bases. SOS at 89 probes, taking a 6th base. These trades haven't been the best for him. They have been good fights. For him, it's all about the remax. It's all about the income. You can see 3,000 minerals per minute, so this is the 2,500 of Cure. And that could be SOS's way back into this game. If he's able to stably add an additional AoE damage, whether it be Disruptors, Disruptors starting once again, another Robo getting thrown down from SOS after losing their robotics facility in the main base. If he's able to stabilize, he's gonna be in a really good position, Tasteless, with this macro. But again, he's always playing on a knife's edge because if he doesn't get the engagement that he absolutely needs against this bio ball from Cure, he can get toppled so quickly.
Now he's splitting this up. This attack should take out this Nexus. We have some Zealots warping in here, but that's only going to buy a little bit of time. The big counterattack comes down here at the 3rd base, and a lift-off with the SCVs retreating is what's going to happen for the Terran. Terran tries to counterpunch. Coming in here, the Vikings are targeting down these Colossi. It goes from 4 to 5, now 4 to 3.
Oh man, the Colossi just never getting connection on the Marine the Marauders. Cure with excellent micro back. He will lose all of the Vikings, but after taking out every single Colossus, and that is all of the firepower here for SOS down the drain. Another Nexus is gonna fall.
This should be game. I think there's no way that SOS can recover. Remember that there was a Robo destroyed earlier. The whole robotics production has been basically reset. It's back to the Stone Age now. The next targets are going to be the peripheral bases that SOS, you know, is going to try to defend. And even forcing a warp in like this is great because now he can take out the other bases on the outside. We're going to see an attack into that in a second here.
Man, those Stalkers just getting melted in the main base as Cure rains down at the 9 o'clock expansion. There is one Disruptor up here for SOS. Can he make some magic happen? He's repelling the force for now, but really the supplies tell the tale. One last Disruptor shot does get denied. GG is called, and Cure's gonna win the first series 2-1.
Beautifully done. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. It was very cool to see SOS play and hang. You know, Cure is one of the strongest players in the GSL, easily one of the strongest players in the whole world. But SOS took a game off him. He went toe-to-toe with him. I think that that match kind of illustrates some of the fundamental challenges that Protoss have versus a Terran that is able to muster the exact right army of Marine Marauder, Medevac, and ultimately Viking if the Protoss goes for Colossus. And basically just chip away. Stim, attack, you know, stutter step back, rinse, repeat, drop a couple places, force a warp in a place that ultimately would be inconvenient for the follow-up attack from the Terran. And Cure is now going on into the winners match.
All right, after this break, Reynor versus Solar, Group A match number 2. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.